Welcome, episode 17 of the Brown Bostonian Show. I'm your host, Kevin Parrington Turner. We are back. It's been a wild week for sports, entertainment, hip hop, rap, even battle rap. But I think we're gonna stick to sports on this one because there's been a lot going on. I'm gonna just jump right into it. The Celtics, they get past the Heat, game 5 in the Garden. They blew them out 118 at 84 points. Derek White and Jalen Brown both scored 25 to lead the Celtics way. Listen, man, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't expect the Celtics to dominate as much as they did. Yes, the Heat are older. Yes, they didn't have Jimmy Butler. Yes, they was injured a lot. They lost a lot of guys from last year, but the Celtics handled business. Handled business this past week. Uh, but I think the biggest story of it all is Kristaps Porzingis is out. I was watching the game. Uh, he's out. Calf injury, same injury that Giannis had that forced him out the playoffs. Essentially, uh, it's going to be several weeks till he comes back, and even then, we don't know what's going to happen. Listen, I've had a calf injury before a couple of times. It feels uncomfortable. It's not necessarily a pain thing. I saw some videos of Porzingis walking around at practice. He looks uncomfortable, and that's what it is. It's not so much a pain, lingering pain, sting. It's more just so very, very uncomfortable. And in a game of basketball, it's like when you're jumping, you're cutting, you use your calf so much that it's kind of tough that if you especially at this high level of playoffs, like it's too much to bear. So I hope he's fine. He said he's good. He tweeted it out after the game that he's good, but we'll have to see what happens because the Celtics next round 2 of the playoffs, they will face the Cavaliers. Game 1's tomorrow at 7 p.m. It'll be at the Garden. Look, I want to take a backtrack because this plays into this round 2. The Heat, right? This was just more than like a series that the Celtics should have won, and they did in dominant fashion. For everybody in Boston, we know that the Heat have always been a team that we struggled against in the playoffs, back in the bubble, back last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. You name it. Even when we got to the championship, Eastern Conference Finals before that, 7 games, Jimmy Butler missed a shot that probably would have won them and made them go to the championship. But so for them to win this one, it says a lot about the Celtics. I know Porzingis being out definitely hurts them, but the fact that they were able to pull it out and band it together in a dominant fashion, that game was a blowout from the first quarter. Derek White has stepped up huge. Drew Holiday has stepped up as a defender, and not only that, as a point guard limiting turnovers. That's big because we don't need him to score 20. He can, but we need him to be a defender and to be a good point guard that limits turnovers. Derek White stepped up so big. Al Horford has been the X factor. You could make the case of Derek White, but I would say Al Horford playing the high 30 minutes, mid 30 minutes, high 30 minutes. That's something he hasn't done all season, but he's done it a couple of times if he needed to. But for real, for the veteran, the older guy, for him to step up and do what he's been doing, and he's gonna have to do it next round against the Cavs, it's gonna be essential to see. Payne Pritchard also is gonna be interesting because he's got his minutes now. He's gonna play more minutes. He's gonna play a bigger role. So is Sam Hauser. We got to see what they can do. Luckily, though, I do think when we look at the Cavaliers and the Celtics matchup, I like what I see so far. Even with Porzingis out, I think the Celtics still have a matchup where it's favorable for them to win. And I think game 5 against the Heat showed that and showed how they can win. Yes, they shoot a lot of threes. They shoot a lot of good ball movement. And I don't think the Cavaliers defense stops that. I don't think it disrupts that. If any team in the Eastern Conference disrupts the Celtics from playing clean basketball, it's the Heat. And even then, their shots off. They still got their points off. They still were able to spread it around. One game it was Jason Tatum. One game it was Derek White. 2 games in a row for Derek White, and then another game was Jaylen Brown who scored 25. So the way to beat the Celtics is make the game disruptive. And I don't think the Cavaliers can do that. Not with Donovan Mitchell, not with Jared Allen. They're good guys. They're good players, but I actually think I was talking to this with my friend Jalil a couple of days ago over the weekend before Game 7. It was actually after the Cavs beat. It was actually after the Magic beat the Cavs in Game 6 to force a Game 7. He was like, I don't want to see the Magic. We've been struggling against the Magic all year. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, look back. He was right. We beat them, I think, once, but they beat us more so often in this season. And I think last season too. They're a bunch of young guys that are also tall. They don't necessarily have like too many big bodies, but they are all tall. They're all nobody on that team on the starting lineup is undersized. You know what I mean? So, typically in the NBA, if a guy's undersized, say you got a 6'2" point guard, technically that's still kind of undersized. 6'1" or 6'3" shooting guards undersized. And then it's like the Magic don't have that, and all they're missing kind of is the veteran like skills and experience. But they was hungry. Donovan Mitchell, he dropped 40 in Game 6, 43, and he still couldn't win. That's just been his whole career. Honestly, just dropping 40, dropping 50, crazy dunks, great moves, all that, but still can never get over the hump no matter what team he was in. When he was in Utah, he still couldn't do it. He's a great player. Great player. He played in New England in high school with Jalen Adams, who went to UConn. He's a great player. When I look at the Celtics versus Cavs matchup, I think without Kristaps Porzingis, yes, there's going to be a lot of issues, especially with Jared Allen out there. He's an athletic guy. I think he slowed down in a year or two before when compared to when he was in Brooklyn. I think he became a little bit more skilled and less relying on too much athleticism. He's a great defender still, and I think yes, Al Horford's going to have some issues, but the veteran he is, it's more so just living in his minutes. Truthfully, for Al Horford, I think when we look at the backcourt matchup of Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Jaylen Brown, and sometimes Jason Tatum, but with Porzingis out, he's going to play the 4 now, and that's big. That's big. Putting Jason Tatum now, he's probably always going to play the front court. That's huge. I think it takes away a little bit from his offense. But like I said before, I think the Cavs compared to the Magic, this matchup works well. I wanted the Cavs to win, so Celtics could get a better chance of least resistance to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And Donovan Mitchell, he's going to score 30. He's going to have games where he scores 40. But I'm not mad if Jaylen Brown's on him. I'm not mad if Drew Holiday's on him. Darius Garland, listen, Max Strus, who played from the Heat, he's a good shooter that plays hard, but the backcourt of the Celtics is too smooth. Once they get the ball going, forget shots. Yes, of course, if shots start to fall, which they have all season, it's over, I think. But even if the ball starts to swing more, they start to run the fast break. Because that's what I saw in Game 5 against the Heat. They was running the ball a lot. Fast break. They was all running hard. Now, one possession was taken off from anyone on the court. But Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Jason Tatum, they got the ball and they ran the floor. Even if they was getting to a set play, they still ran the floor. They didn't walk it up. They didn't take anything for granted. If they have that same mentality versus the Cavs, a Cavs team that just got out of a 7-game series with the Magic yesterday, I think the Celtics have a really great chance, especially in the Garden, to take Game 1. Once they take Game 1, hopefully Game 2 as well. I think you've snatched some of the pride from the Cavs. And you gotta remember, I mean, Don Mitchell, he's gonna have, like I said, he's gonna have 30, he's gonna have 40. I assume in like a game 2, I assume like a game Definitely like a game 3 once they get back home, but it's never a winning game 40. There's different players that can score 40, who know how to score 40, when to score 40, and win. I speak Kobe Bryant, but he was special. We're not gonna put Kobe in there. Jason Tatum's one. I think he's turning into one of them. One of those guys who, if he scores 40, he's gonna win. I can't remember the last time he dropped 40 and they lost. It doesn't happen at that much. LeBron James, I know the Lakers season didn't go how they wanted, but when LeBron scores a lot, they usually win. And I don't think Donovan Mitchell, his whole career has been a lot of highlights, a lot of points, a lot of impressive numbers, but not too many buckets. Anthony Edwards, another guy who, if he drops 40, I could see him still winning. Now, this season, last season, I don't know if I saw that too much. Now he knows when to score. We're gonna get to that. We'll get to Nuggets game 1. Great game. In that whole series. That's gonna be insane. Now, looking ahead, and I shouldn't look ahead. I definitely shouldn't look ahead, but I'm going to. Kristaps Porzingis being out, definitely. It was something that I think was in the back of the minds of all Celtics fans, because Porzingis has been good primarily for the regular season of injuries. That's always been our thing. Even before Porzingis, when we had Danilo Gallinari, he didn't even play a game before the season even started. He tore a ligament in his knee, I believe. He tore his ACL, if I'm not mistaken. And he didn't even play a single game. Then he got traded off. So Porzingis, another guy who's been drafted to the Knicks and then the Mavs, and places, different places, Washington, and then dealing with injuries. He comes here. It's a great pickup, but we always worried, hey, we got to see if he can stay healthy. He stayed healthy for most of the time, missed some games, but he still stayed healthy. And then for this to happen, it's just like, it stinks, but it'll be alive if that didn't stay in the back of everyone's head. Like, I don't think anyone sits here and be like, oh, I worry about Jason Tatum's health. I worry about Jaylen Brown's health. I worry about Drew Holiday's health, Derek White's health, because there's just certain guys that this usually the taller guys that have issues with their legs, the bottom half of their bodies, again, injuries, playing so many games in the NBA. So looking forward, I do expect I'm gonna talk about it later. The Knicks and the Pacers, like in that Eastern Conference Finals. I still think the C's can make it to the finals. But to whoever they decide, whoever they face in that finals, they can't. They can't. Not without Porzingis. And I love Al Horford. He's playing. I think he'll play amazing. I think he'll have a great series. This series. I'm not saying points wise. I think defensively, cleaning up boards, hitting free throws, making some stops. He's not gonna stop every possession, most possessions. He's gonna make. I think he makes key stops. I think he runs the floor. They keep an eye on his minutes. And I think Al Horford is gonna be the factor in this one. You could make the case of Derek White or Drew Holiday, because Drew Holiday is a great defender. But I think Al Horford for the rest of this playoff series until Kristaps Porzingis comes back is going to be the X factor. We got to see what Payne Pritchard do. We got to see what Sam Hauser could do. But I think Big Al is going to be the big factor in this one. Now, for my predictions, I say season in 5. 6, if we're being generous, because I do have a respect for Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, he has too much pride as a scorer, as a player, to not force a game or two by just dropping 40, 50. He'll have a 55, 45, 50 ball game, 50 piece. But for the most part, the Cavs, they're a great team. They just don't have the it factor. As much as I love Donovan Mitchell, he doesn't have the it factor. He's a little bit undersized. Shooting wise, he can get hot, but he can get cold. It's a mental game with the Cavs, and the Celtics have already been through that mental climb. Going to the finals and losing, and being down 0-3 and coming back to 3-3, and then losing guys, losing their coach. The Celtics have already been through the mental climb. I don't think the Cavs have, and that's big. They got veterans. They got young veterans on the team. Donovan Mitchell's a veteran. I guess you could call Jared Allen a vet, Evan Mobley a vet, Karis LeVert a vet, but they're not playoff championship run vets. These are vets that are young and still in their primes, and that's what's scary about the Celtics. That I think the rest of the NBA knows about them. So I think the Celtics win in five. It's gonna be tough. Donovan Mitchell is gonna get his. I don't think they make a plan to stop him, but I think in five. Now we gotta go to the rest of the league. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this because, but the playoffs have been great. Uh, the rest of the league, Mavs eliminate the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, it was killing him on first take. Understandably so, man. It's injuries, so you never know what the guy's dealing with. You never know. So you got to be respectful in that. You never know what he's dealing with. Paul George is doing the best he can. He's smooth. James Harden doing the same thing. It's kind of sad because it's like, these guys link up with a guy who's won some championships, but he's injured. Two guys that have been like kind of, they've spent a lot of time in the playoffs. They spent a lot of time as the number one guy, the head honcho, and brought the team to the playoffs. Now they join the championship guy who's done it, and they think that would be perfect, even with the coach. Doesn't happen. In the Mavs with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, get him out of here. And now it's going to be the Mavs versus the Thunder. That's going to be a great one. I'm not going to say it's just Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic on that Mavericks team, but I don't care about anyone else on that team. We just got to be honest. In the Thunder, full of young guys, youngest team in the league. Chet Holmgren. They have the size, they have the speed, they have the talent. I think the Thunder take it. I mean, what do we talk about? The number one seed in the West. I think it takes them six. I think it takes them seven. I'll say this. I'll take a take. If it's, I think it takes six. I think it has to be six. If it goes as game seven, it's up in the air. I don't think you want to face Kyrie Irving or Luka Doncic in the game seven. No way. No shot. I don't care if it's on the road. I don't care if it's at home. You don't want to face them in 7 games. Six. But I got the Thunder. I think the Thunder, I think they take it, man. They've been playing hard. They're young. So, but the young, like I said before against the Cavs, I know I said young and have experience, but when you have that much talent over there, Shai Gilgeous, Chet, it's it's too much. I think. I think. And the best part about the Mavs is their backcourt, not necessarily front court. Next, Pacers eliminated Bucks. I think I think that was Giannis' last season as a Buck. Brought them a championship, All Star, MVP stuff. Like, I think it's his last season. He's done all he can for Milwaukee. I think he goes to a bigger market and has fun. Tries to win some games. Hopefully, goes for a championship. They get some other players around him. I think Dame might stay in Milwaukee, but it's the Pacers' time, and I think they made it clear. Yes, Giannis was out, got a calf injury, but I think that was Giannis's last year. With the coaching change with Doc Rivers, and it's like that season was just all over the place for the Bucks. Like, we didn't really. It's weird because Giannis is a former champion, and Damian Lillard just got to the Bucks, so you would think they would be great, but they still have Middleton. It just didn't work. And then the trades this midseason with the Pacers, they just look really good around Halliburton. They brought the pieces together. I don't think they're a championship caliber team yet, but we'll see. The Knicks finally got rid of the Sixers, as I expected. I didn't know which game it would be because without Julius Randle, but Joel Embiid's hurt too. It was some great games in the Garden. As much as I'm a Celtics fan, that I have a love-hate relationship with New York. I'm happy for every Knicks fan that's, like, getting to see their team in the playoffs. I know this is big for the city. I mean, I'm living near it, and I've seen it. Anytime I go to New York, I see people walking around Madison Square Garden going crazy. But now it's the Pacers versus the Knicks. This is a good one. For me, the fact that Julius Randle is out makes a world of difference to me. Yes, Jalen Brunson is that guy. Yes, DiVincenzo is that guy. He's nice. Josh Hart, he's good. But Halliburton, it's just his season. He's having one of those seasons where it's his first taking the league by surprise seasons. And I think it takes him to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think the Pacers take him in. I don't want to pick a one. I can't pick one. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. I think the Pacers can take one on the road in New York. It's not going to be easy, but I definitely think they could take one. I think the Knicks, they travel, even though Philly was next, is close to New York. I'm picking this in real time, by the way. I gotta go. I'm gonna go with the Knicks in 7. Barring major injury, I go with the Knicks in 7. I think Jalen Brunson pulls out some good performances in the game, some big shots. Next, T Wolves up 1-0 on the Nuggets. Nuggets got rid of the Lakers. Um, Listen, this is gonna be a great series. Anthony Edwards played amazing game 1. Rudy Gobert played good. Carl Anthony Towns played really good, shooting threes, going to the basket, causing havoc. Rudy Gobert, defensive guy, played well. Michael Conley's playing good. Anthony Edwards, he's putting on the show, putting the world on notice of his superstardom. The Nuggets, they don't look the same Nuggets as before. I know I said having without Bruce Brown, it's looking kind of shaky a little bit. I think it's up to Michael Porter. Jamal Murray still has a leg injury as well. You know, the Joker is two twin towers. Carl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. That is the perfect matchup for them, for the T Wolves. Perfect matchup to isolate whatever the Nuggets have done. They got two tall towers. One of them is a great defensive guy. Not to say Joker is going to be stopped. I think he still gets 25 points, 30 points, and like 8 assists. I don't know. The matchup looks good for the Timberwolves. However, I think it's up to Michael Porter Jr. I think it's up to KCP. I think Jamal Murray still hits big shots. That's just who he is. I think the Joker still makes plays, but it's really going to be up to Michael Porter Jr. to step into the stardom that I think he possesses. He's a guy that can average 25 on any other team in the league. So it's up to him. It really leaves up to him. Who's going to guard Anthony Edwards? I don't know. I don't think you try to really worry too much about him. I think you worry about everyone else. Carl Anthony Towns. You stop him, Rudy Gobert, he's not a scorer. Michael Conley, he can get a bucket, but he's getting older. I think he's becoming more of a game manager. I think the Nuggets still win it. To be honest, I think they win it in 6. I think they come back. If they find a way to get Anthony Edwards, let him get his buckets, but no one else, because that's what he is. He's a bucket getter. He's a bucket getter, but I think the Nuggets take it. That's it for the rest of the NBA, man. I'm gonna get into boxing real quick because a lot of things happened over the weekend, over last week since the last episode. In boxing, Ryan Garcia tested positive for performance enhancement drugs. This comes off the heels of him being Devin Haney by majority decision. That performance was an impressive one. Dropped Devin Haney a couple times with that left hook that everyone knows Ryan Garcia for. And I guess he tested positive before the fight. I mean, he sent samples before the fight, both of them did. And then they figured out after the results, and Devin Haney's came back negative. Ryan's tested positive. Listen, Devin Haney was on social media. He went on ESPN after all this saying, like, this isn't cool. It's not funny. It's not a joke because Ryan Garcia was on social media still making a joke saying this is not true. You know, who are we to believe it or not to believe it? I'm not too sure. Uh, Devin Haney went on ESPN and started saying, like, hey, the guy is like, this is boxing. Like, you put my life in danger, which he is completely right. He is completely right. In boxing, people have died in the ring. That's just the reality of it. People died from boxing matches. And for you to take performance enhancing drugs, and it looks bad that you didn't try to lose the 3 pounds to make weight, it looks bad. And in the fight, you could see in some rounds he was getting out of shape. So it's just like he looked like the heavier guy. He looked like the bigger guy. Ryan Garcia did in the fight. So now it all kind of looks, you look at it different. Now, I will say this. With that being said, if it's true, yes, kill him. Not literally, but he deserves all the criticism. Take his win away, no contest, all that. I'm right there, so we can get back to what else I also want to say about boxing and how it's been. Devin Haney. One thing I'm not. I appreciate the fact that he after the loss he kind of took it on the chin and was just like, hey, like, yeah, I would love to run it back. I'm gonna get back in the gym. I'm gonna figure it out. You know, and a lot his dad, Bill Haney, got in a heated feud with Floyd Mayweather over Instagram Live after the fight, all this other stuff, and it's like people have died in boxing. And I think there needs to be a better way to regulate all of this, not just the performance enhancing drugs, because yes, that is not cool at all. Also, I'm also not a fan of this. You make weight, you can pull up to the next day, however, whatever weight you want it. Because please remember, Devin Haney, when you don't make weight, the other guy, the champion, can say, hey, lose the weight on the fight night. We're going to weigh in fight night before the fight, lose the weight, and then we could fight. If not, no fights happening. Now, I hear sports analysts saying, like, oh, Devin Haney should have just stopped the fight right there. It's your career. Now your record got a blemish on it. It's easier said than done. Everybody's so many people bought tickets, so many people bought pay per view, so many people anticipating it. Yes, he could have probably had a other person, a fill in. They have fill ins just in case something bad happens for a fight that still happens. It happens, but no, it's easier said than done for you to just say no, we're not doing it. Especially if it's 3 pounds. He paid the weight. The bet they had 500,000 each pound, so he paid him 1.5 mil. Ryan did to Devin Haney. However, with that being said, you could make him weigh in the night before the fight. Say, no, you got to lose those 3 pounds. But the reason why is he didn't do it is because both fighters have to weigh in that same night. And guess what? Devin Haney knows he's not 140. He's going to make the weight, but then he's going to pull back up at 160. To me, this is my opinion. That's cheating. That's still cheating. Now, performance enhancing drugs, something like steroids, that's wild. But all this is cheating. All this is cheating. And for Devin Haney just pop up out of nowhere. He was quiet. I was waiting for him to do his web series after the fight. It could have been 4 minutes. It could have been 5 minutes. Just saying, yo, it didn't go how we anticipated, but we're gonna get back in the gym. That's it. That's what I want. Because if he would have won, he would have kept doing his web series. I've been following Devin. I've been following Ryan. I've been following boxing. He still took the loss on the chin, but he definitely wasn't this. He definitely didn't go when it didn't go as planned. He didn't continue doing what he usually does as Devin. With that being said, as soon as Ryan tests positive, he's tweeting now. He hasn't tweeted in like 2 weeks since the fight. He's on TV now, sitting down, saying he cheated. It's like, bro, boxing in general needs to regulate a lot of things, and the judging thing has been kind of shaky in my opinion. In the last couple of fights when it came to Devin Haney, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying he paid him. I'm not saying his people paid him. I'm not gonna say none of that because I am a Devin fan of his boxing. I am, but it's been shaky. We can't lie, and it's been shaky for years. This weight stuff has been shaky. We can't forget Ryan, who's weight drained, but he signed a no rehydration clause against Tank. And you saw what happened. Hey man, boxing, it's been I love boxing so much. And I love that the fact that these fights are still happening, these big fights that people care about. Gervonta Tank Davis. I'm gonna talk about more as we head towards the fight. Gervonta Tank Davis find Frank Martin. Who's Frank Martin? I don't know. I searched him up, never heard of him. Searched up who he fought. We don't know. That got me upset because Tank definitely needs to fight more but he's a blockbuster. He's a prize fighter by himself. Yes, we know that. So this is a money day. This is a money play. But he said he wants to fight Shakur Stevenson too. Shout out to Jersey. We in Jersey. But hey, boxing, please, please listen. I hope Ryan didn't test positive for performance enhancing drugs, PEDs. But if so, yes, take his win away, suspend him for a year, don't let him fight, all that stuff, because he's been going crazy. All right. Next and last, Canelo Alvarez beat Jamie Mugula. Unanimous decision over the weekend. Super middleweight title. He retained his WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, all the belts. I got a chance to see the highlights. I'm not gonna lie to you, folks. I did not watch the whole fight. I know Canelo has a big fan base. He knocked down his opponent in the fourth round. He got back with an uppercut, nasty uppercut. Came back up. You won unanimous decision. I think the bigger question here is he the GOAT? One of the GOATs. I'm not gonna say the greatest of all time. He lost to Floyd. We can't ignore that. I will say this, man. For the Manny Pacquiao's of the world, the Canelo Alvarez's of the world, those guys who naturally went up in weight classes as they gotten older and gotten heavier instead of doing the weight stuff that I just mentioned and just kind of starving themselves, taking all the water out their body so they can make weight, so they can stay at this weight, but keep their manpower for the fight, so they have an advantage. For these guys who've been going up in weight to super middleweight, light heavyweight, all these things, I respect the hell out of them. I really do. I think when it comes to Mexican fighters, is Canelo to go? Yeah, for sure. For what he's done, the blockbuster fights, I don't think he's ducked anyone. You can make some cases about some fighters, but I think it's more so just contractual things that has prevented some fights with his own deal. He's a star. He's been a star for so many years now. I think Canelo is one of the greatest fighters of all time. To be honest, I wouldn't consider him the top. It gets subjective at that point. I think Floyd Mayweather still sits above him. I think he's climbing up though. Even though Floyd beat him, I think he's climbing up. The more he climbs up, the more he faces some more guys. Now, who's Jimmy Mugula? I don't know either. Truthfully, I see him. He beat the Charlo, but he beat one of the Charlo brothers. His resume still there's nothing to play with, even with the wins he's got. It's nothing to play with. I think Canelo's one of the goats in boxing, yes, of all time, for sure. He's respected. I don't think anyone can take any credit away from him. He deserves it. Uh, but we'll see. That's it from boxing. That's it for the NBA. We'll see how the Celtics and Cavaliers match up tomorrow, 7 p.m. Game 1, the Garden. See how the rest of the NBA fits out. I'll try to do another episode Friday. I'm gonna try. Don't kill me if I don't. I'm trying to figure this all out. Do a little bit more. But I appreciate everyone who's watching, everyone who's listening. It's gonna get better. Promise that. And yes, let me know what you think. Till next time, Brown Bostonian, episode 17. Appreciate you. I'm Kevin Perry, attorney, your host. Peace.